Throttle channel. I'm here with Ricky, and our S2000 just got back from the paint shop. Now it's time to work on the wheel wells of this thing. We gotta get the brakes off, the suspension, the chassis bracing, and then we're gonna replace it with much better stuff. One episode.
No way. That's a lot of stuff. Now that we have the brake system out of the way, the suspension out of the way, the next step is to clean it. This thing just came back from the body shop and it's usually kind of dusty out here. So I'm gonna clean everything up, dry it, everything, paint whatever I need to paint, and then put all the new stuff back in here.
Okay, now that we have removed the brakes, suspension, and the chassis reinforcement. It's time to get our new stuff back in. Starting with some of the chassis reinforcement, we have our Cusco sway bars and strut bars, as well as some other chassis reinforcement bits to back up and also to further increase the steerability and the ride quality and really the cornering capabilities of this car. We have the EVS tuning bump steer kit and half shaft spacers.
Right in front of that, we have our Wheelwood brake kit, and this is a two-piece rotor for the front and rear with our amazing calipers. And right next to that, we have our BR BC Racing fully adjustable coilovers that we are actually going to be installing right now.
All right, our VC coilovers are in. Now it's time to move on to the chassis reinforcement, and we have a slew of Cusco parts right here. So we are gonna reinforce the chassis using this floor reinforcement right here. This is a tunnel. This goes right underneath the diff in between the tunnel, the lower side of the tunnel, to reinforce the chassis. We have both front and rear sway bars. We have both strut bars.
What is this, buddy?
This last bit is gonna tie the front subframe to the transmission mount. It's just a chassis reinforcement is what we call that. So until our motor, exhaust, and drive shaft go back in, we are done as far as underneath the car with the chassis reinforcement. These will go on after everything else is put back in. What we can do right now is the rear strut bar, which just goes in the trunk, and this will go in after the motor as well, which is the front strut bar. So So this Willwood big brake kit for the front and rear comes with an electronic parking brake, much like what we did in the Tesla Z. Back here in the trunk, right underneath where the spare tire sits, I have mounted the controller for this. And that controller has a wired loom that's gonna come up here. It's gonna split to go to the controlling button that we have right here. And then it's gonna continue to the power panel where the fuse and relays are for the constant battery and the accessory battery. So in order for that to work, we have a couple of quick connections to make right here. I'm just gonna extend some wire right here, and rather than getting a soldering iron in here and chance splattering or damaging any of this leather, we have these awesome things called solder sticks. So it comes in a couple different sizes too. I'm gonna be using a 10 gauge wire as my trunk. So yellow is what I wanna use. So we have like smaller gauges. This is probably the most used because I gave you so many of those, but this is the 10 gauge one, so I'm gonna use the yellow. And it's gonna basically be its own heat shrink and soldering just by waving like a butane lighter against it. It'll melt a solder collar and kind of grip all the wires together and then melt and spread. And it will be weather tight as well. So it's a couple of different things in one. It's soldering the wires so you have a really good power connection. It's also kind of a reinforcement too, because it'll kind of hold the outsides of the solder joint. That way if it gets brittle, you can't really bend it and then snap the connection. So I ran all of the looms. We have our serviceable fuses right here. We have our apply and retract button cut in here, mounted in here. Now all I have to do is plug in my Deutsch connection. Let's just set that in here. And then you'll notice we got a little pocket here now since the e-brake lever's not here, so we may have something special planned for that.
Okay, so we are finally ready to install our rear brake system. This is everything I need to get the rear side done. We have our 2-piece rotor, which Mickey was kind enough to put together for me, where I got everything else done. Right above that, we have our 4-piston caliper, and this is our electronic parking brake. This is just an adapter, Willwood brake pads, and right over here is our EBS tuning rear tow arm, which I'm gonna install this first because it's gonna be a lot easier for me to do it now before I start putting all this thing on. If not, then we're also gonna have to remove half this stuff just to get this thing on. So I'm gonna do them a favor, I'm gonna put this thing now. So I kind of want to explain what the original caliper did on the S2000. So as you see here, there is one piston on this caliper. And when you step on the brakes, the piston goes out and it pushes the two brake pads in together, right? That's how you get your brake. And when you pull your e-brake, it is by a cable, which you can see here. When you pull this up, it squeezes the same piston and it holds it in place, right? And then from there, you can get out of the car and go do your thing and the car will move. In our case, because we went with a 4-piston caliper, we have 2 on this side, 2 on the other side, so you get equal pressure on both pads and you get better stopping power, right? On top of that, our rotor is way bigger. It's massive, which means you can stop a lot sooner and the rotor and the pads won't hit up so much. Now, when you upgrade to something like this, you lose your e-brake, right? Because you have to replace the caliper for this huge one. And that's where this one comes in. This is our new electric parking brake. So this little caliper here, its only purpose is that once you're in a complete stop and you press a parking brake button, it's literally just squeeze it and holds it in place, which is essentially your e-brake, but digitally. All right, the rear set of Willwood brakes are installed. It is time for us to move to the front ones. In this case, the main difference is that the rotors are a lot thicker, bigger, and we have a 6-piston caliper instead of a 4, which is going to create obviously a lot more braking power. And yeah, everything else pretty much the same thing, so let's get to it.
So, Ricky, where are the keys at, bud? See, I need the key because it's not gonna do it. It's not gonna do anything unless the ignition is on for the accessory power. That's good. So, we should have an indicator right here. Once I click the key on, boom!
Ooh, nice.
It's lit.
All right, so right now, if you look down here, we're gonna spin it, then she turns.
All right.
Oh, that'll work. I believe in you.
Oh, I heard it.
It sounds like it worked.
Oh yeah, now let go of it.
And I have an e-brake light on here too.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. So that's our indicator that the e-brake is applied. So now I'll press down. Make a
And we're back
noise.
to turning. Turn it on again.
All right, it's on.
Turn it on. Yeah, apply it.
All right, it's on.
No, it's not.
You know what? It might not work while you're spinning it. Cause
No, it will. Apply it. He's not applying it. I didn't hear it.
It's on.
No, it is. I couldn't hear it.
Cool. All right, now I'm gonna turn this back off. Lights off. Button doesn't do anything. Perfect. Cool. That is the electronic parking brake by Willwood Big Brake Kit on the rear. Done. So next up, now that Ricky's done with the brakes, we are going to be installing an EVS tuning bump steer kit for the front. So basically this is going to bump up the steering rack to kind of make up for the space of lower ride height. So the wheel hubs and everything are going to be higher. That causes a little bit of unwanted play in the steering wheel. By adding this gap and bringing the steering rack up, it's going to eliminate that. It's going to be safer, it's going to be tighter steering, it's going to be better. And they give you longer bolts. So we have two long, what are these? These are probably M10s, M12s. You'll pull these out, put a spacer, raise your steering rack up like, looks like about 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch, and that brings the whole steering rack up.
Can I drink this?
All right, next up, we have a set of Hossport diff mounts.
Wait!
Base of engineering.
First of all, my boy King Gary Jr. himself is here. R34 GTR King himself.
you say my name like I'm in court. Like I didn't do it. I plead guilty, Your Honor. I didn't take.
And we have a beautiful set of billet Hossport differential mounts for our S2000. So this is a huge upgraded component over a factory mount. First of all, it is billet aluminum front and rear on the diff, which is super cool, and it also has a polyurethane bushing. So this is gonna stabilize the diff a lot better than the factory component will. These are an axle spacer, so when you lower these, they like to pull the half shaft stubs out of the diff, apparently. So we have these guys to add some width to it and make it nice. Make it not break while we're driving it. So
And that's actually accurate because it happened to me when I had my S2K and I slammed it.
is it?
Yeah. Can I fit this in here? Nah.
I think those are 12.
No, they're 14.
You sure? Oh, damn, I got it worse. kind of got
Rotate it. Yeah. All right, we're in good shape.
there, man. See this? Just OEM steel. This right here, billet aluminum. Crafted, look, it's just thicker, stronger, like Basuda. This one good. You hear how that thing, you don't want to drive with that on there. Just
Hotsport diff mounts are in. Now we're gonna move on to our axle spacers.
Gary, what do those things even do?
which ones?
Those things.
Axle spacers?
Shiny red thing.
Apparently when you lower this car, it'll mess up your axle, so you put on these axle spacers so it compensates for that slack that you would have when you lower the car. Is that right?
Yeah, that's 100%.
Damn, I'm learning.
So we're finished. We have our Hotsport diff mount kit in and our evasive axle spacers. Really nice pieces. Everything fit really well. And now it's all complete. We're done.
So this is the end of the video, and we got a lot of stuff done on this video.
Yes,
we got the 2-piece rotors by Wheelwheel for front and rear. We have our big old 4-piston calipers in the rear, 6-piston calipers in the front, and of course we cannot forget the electronic brake. Is that electronic brake control?
It's like a 1-piston? Is that what we got?
Well, it's. Do you even call it that?
I don't know.
It's a motor.
I don't know.
Just an
There's an
electronic
e-brake.
brake.
Yeah, it's an electronic brake system.
Cool.
So no more cable e-brake. It is now by a press of a button, which is pretty sick.
Aside from the brakes, right behind them we got our BC coilovers in, and it's going to sit nice and low and be adjustable for ride height, compression, and rebound.
Correct.
And not only that, but the chassis is super stiff now because we got all that Cusco sway bar, strut bars. We do have a couple more Cusco pieces to put in once the drive shaft and the exhaust is in. So a couple more Cusco pieces, but aside from that, the chassis is totally done.
Pretty sick.
It's awesome.
EBS tuning, we ended up adding our axle spacers.
Yeah, the half shaft spacers.
Half shaft spacers. We got our bump steers adapter plates for the front and rear.
Yep.
We got rear arms, and then we got plates for the front. And I think that's it, right?
That's it. So now
That's a lot.
this thing is gonna be much better as far as its drivable responsiveness, but also the two things that are a worry when you slam an S2000 was the half shaft's falling out, which is not going to do anymore.
Correct.
And the bump steer has been eliminated,
All
front
fixed.
and rear. So really, really good pieces for this car.
That's it, guys. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And don't forget, every dollar you spend on throtl.com is gonna get you one entry to win this bad boy, and on top of that, $20,000 in cash.
Bad boy!
See you guys soon. Enjoy the video.